Well, hello there, and welcome back to Mr. E's Mysteries and Magicks. Somehow 2020 has ended and you still found yourself at this channel. Things just couldn't get worse, right? Well, anyway, as long as you're here, stick around for the video brought to you by RP Magic Shop, where illusion becomes reality. Check out the link to their website below and sign up for all their free stuff. Get their monthly, sometimes bi-monthly updates of what's on sale and check them out. Okay, so today we're going to do a video on how I perform the shuffle lesson effect by Chad Long. I don't feel like I'm giving anything away. This effect is actually written up in a book entitled Magic for Dummies, honest to gosh, and it gives full credit to Chad, and Chad has apparently given permission for the effect to be written up in that particular book. So I figure if it's in Magic for Dummies, it's pretty much in the public domain. All right, so anyway, we're moving on from that. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to explain why I do that particular effect in a minute. But first, I just want to talk about the cards that I'm using today. These are the Bicycle Codex cards designed by the Elite Playing Card Company. You can see the tuck case is extremely elaborate. Very fine detail in the gold. Here's the back, which is the back of the cards as well. And you can see how detailed and filigreed that is in gold. And everything is in gold. It says produced by Elite Playing Card. On this side, luxury playing cards crafted in the United States of America. On this side, some barely legible legalese about Bicycle and the Bicycle Company and so forth. Hard to read because it kind of bleeds a little bit with the gold ink and whatnot. It says Codex across the top, and the inside of the tuck case is just a plain black with a little bit of a design on the flippers here. So very nice deck of cards, very cool tuck case. I love them. I got these as a birthday gift from my best friend and oldest friend, for that matter. We are still friends after all these years. We grew up literally right next door to each other many decades ago, and he sent me these for my most recent birthday. So what do you get? Well, you get this really nice little sort of ad card, very sentimental. It says, you probably can't read it, "For my loving wife, Ashta Siddhi Harilal," with a heart where the A should be. Okay, and then it says at the bottom simply Codex and some stuff about, Elite Playing Cards produced in the United States, blah, 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 blah. So you get that. You get a double backer. Okay, and here are the jokers. You can see the faces. Faces are somewhat muted. All right, kind of a maroonish brown here and a dark gray more than black here for the black cards. No other particular colors. You'll see the show you one of the kings. All right, see the face cards are pretty much like all the same as the jokers. What's very interesting is the number cards. Check this out. Okay, kind of a computer motif. There are 15 pips on each card. However, the number of pips that are colored in deep color corresponds to the number of the card. So this is the four of spades. You can see 4 spades are colored in. The other 11 spades are grayed out, like on icons on a computer that you can't click on because you haven't performed that particular function yet or what have you. So it's kind of a computer theme to this deck of cards, kind of a motif there. And they're all like that. You have this, here's the 5. You can see the 5's got a pip colored in the middle and so on. So that's kind of how things go. All right, very nice deck of cards, very nice handling and smoothness to them, and a very pretty deck of cards as well. All right, so that's what we're going to be using. So the first thing I do when I do this particular effect is I start with a story. As you know, a lot of times when I do a magic effect, I devise a story around it. For organized cards, there was a story about my dad being a military officer, which he was. He was a retired military officer. He wasn't much of a card shark, so the rest of the story is kind of just a story. But I try to put some kind of context to it. The magic 8-ball trick, I use that reference to the magic 8-ball toy and so on and so forth. So with this particular effect, the shuffle lesson by Chad Long, I saved this one for those times when people say to me, well, magic isn't real. I pull out a deck of cards and I say, okay, so you say, I can prove to you that it is. Have you got any experience in magic? Do you know how to do any kind of magic? And I'll say no, hopefully. And you go into this particular routine. So the first thing you do, or at least the first thing I do. Now, I should say that there are about 17,675,912,000,000,000 ways of doing this effect. I know because I counted them all. So anyway, this is how I do it. I don't do it very elaborately. I do it rather slowly. I'm going to cut out some of the shuffling to save time, but I do it slowly and without a lot of shuffling going on because, it just works better for me that way. So the first thing I do is we give the cards a bit of a shuffle. All right, now I can do this 2 or 3, 4 times, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm only going to do it once. I then take the cards and put them on the deck, and I tell the participant, would you please cut the deck about as equal in 2 piles as you can, and they will do something like this, and I say, fine, now point to one deck, and if they point to they'll point to this one, and I'll say, okay, you take that side, I will take this deck. Please note that from this point on, I will not be touching your cards. Okay. The first thing I want you to do is an overhand shuffle. I'm going to teach you an overhand shuffle, which you probably already know, but there's a couple of things about it. So let's practice with that first, and just take one card at a time, just like this. One card at a time, very slowly. All right, just do a few cards like that. When you get the feel for it, just kind of, take a few packets off like that, all right? That's all you got to do, all right? So they'll do that, and they are going to follow along with everything that you do. Now, please do everything as I do. So one card at a time, okay? Got that? All right. One card at a time. Got one card at a time. Nicely done. Very good. All right, now do a few. All right, you got that? You got that? All right, yeah, there you go. Perfect. All right, so they do that. The next thing I do is I do the old so-called center cut shuffle. I say, now, please do this, but make sure you take cards from the middle, because if you take from the bottom, it's not really going to do anything. You're cutting the cards, okay? Just take a few cards from the middle and just bring them to the top of the deck like that. And again, you can do this for as long as you want. I'm only going to do it a couple of times because, in fact, I'll only do it once here because it really doesn't matter how many times you do it. And again, save some time. So they do that several times. You do that several times. All right, now the next thing I say to them is we're going to cut the cards and we're going to follow, again, you're going to follow what I do. Into 3 piles. We're going to cut the cards into 3 piles. All right, there's top pile, middle pile, bottom pile. All right, so put your top pile right over here. Okay, middle pile here. Try to make them equal. There's a little too many here. All right, so try to make them equal and then like this. Okay, so now we take the middle packet, put it here, and put this here. All right, so middle packet here, here, and here. Now, at this point, you can do other shuffles if you want. I don't often do that. I pretty much bring it to a close at this point. But again, if you want to get more elaborate and do other kinds of shuffles that will fit in with the theme of this, which you'll see how it's done in the tutorial, that's perfectly fine. But at this point, I then say to them, okay, we've pretty much done some nice shuffles here. Let's take these cards, try to make them as even as possible into 5 piles. We're going to put 4 on the table, and we're going to hold the 5th packet in our hands. Don't put too many cards in each individual pile. Hold on to what you've got, and try not to overdo it by putting too many in one stack. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Where do you want to start? And a lot of times they'll say 3. Okay, so take a few cards, put it in 3. Now, do you want to go to 4 and back this way, or do you want to go to 2 and around this way? And let's say they say we'll go to 4. Okay, so you put a few more cards at 4, put a few cards at 1, and you put a couple of cards. If it's down to a couple of cards, that's fine. That's okay. Here's the 5th packet. We're going to put that aside for now. So they're going to do the same thing. They are going to take a few cards, just a few, put them at 3. They're going to go to 4. And if it's not a perfectly even pile, that's okay, just as long as you have plenty here, because we're going to deal some of these cards out. Okay? Again, which pile do you want to start with? Well, they're probably not going to pick 3 because they picked that last time. So sometimes they'll pick, say, 2. Again, it doesn't matter. Okay, first card goes down to 2. Should we deal to here? and go around, or here and go around this way. And a lot of times they'll pick the opposite direction of what they picked before, so they'll say go that way. So we put the cards down like this. And again, it doesn't really matter how many cards you have in your pile. Each pile can be a little bit different, and I'm just going to straighten these out so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, can just make sure that those are squared off. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to start at the 2, and we're going to go following this same pattern that now remember here too, it's not exactly the same pattern, because what they're doing is they're doing the mirror image of what you're doing. So you kind of have to make sure that they do it correctly and follow them through all the way. When you're done here, you're basically at the end of the effect, and you say, let's see how we did. I have the king, king of hearts. I have another king, king of spades, king of diamonds, and finally the king of clubs. I got all 4 kings. Now you expect me to do that because I know how to do magic. Let's see what you came up with. And they pull over the first card is the ace of spades, ace of hearts, ace of clubs, and the ace of diamonds, the 4 aces. Now the suits won't always be in the same order every time you do this particular effect, but you will get all 4 kings and they will get all 4 aces. You remind them once again, after I shuffle the cards and put them on the table, I never touched your side of your half of the deck. You did that all yourself. All you did was whatever I told you to do, and you still ended up with a better hand of cards than I did. You tell me, does magic exist or does it not? And as you go home thinking about it, maybe you'll be completely baffled.